Oh my god. Oh my god, I can't see because of this tree. Oh. Now, if this was Resident Evil 4 and that first time you jump out that house, I'd be dead. I'd already be needing that green herb, son. Where's that crest? Punch each other! Oh.
Hey, Diva.
Hi. Just so you know. Oh. Punch each other! Let's do this. I'm not gonna have no metal pipe taking me out. Shoot. This, ooh. What's it called? That sound is like perfect for this game. Okay. Where did you go? Where did you go? Fuck. Oh. Oh, stupida! I bet you gotta be on the hit list because he is outdoing himself to kill me. Did y'all see him jump from underneath here? Oh my god, what the fuck is up with this guy? He's literally just like one-hitting me. Like, I know I'm not bugging right now. I don't. Oh, gosh darn it! Oh no! No. Oh no! Nope! 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 What the fuck? Tell me there's no gun here? Give me the banana. We love a good banana. Bitch. Bitch! Damn. Watch out, it's preparing something. Come on, come on. Zale, watch out. Oh my god, now he's crying. Stop. Ooh. Oh. Oh.
I was trapped. There was no way out.
Why am I walking so slow? Oh my god, am I gonna hit him with a fucking pan? No. No! Where did you go? Fuck. Oh. Oh, stupida! Oh, I didn't get the points for that though, because they weren't headshots. Oh my god, so I gotta shoot people in the head. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, I can't see because of this tree. Oh. Now, if this was Resident Evil 4 and that first time you jump out the house, I'd be dead. I'd already be needing that green herb. Is there an 18,127? No. I mean, there's an 8,000. Oh. Oh my god. No, I was not expecting that. Holy shit. Oh my god, hold on, hold on. I have to go back and say hi to everybody. Um, I can't fucking breathe right now. Hi Missy. Hi Poppy. Hi JC. Jay, thank you for the follow. Oh my god. Kifa, hi Kifa, thank you for the follow. What is all this stuff? Oh my god. Oh yeah. Come on. Are we doing? Oh no, is my person about to die? Oh. I don't even know what to do now. Oh my god.
Tonight's beverage will be all.
Oh my god, you know what I just realized? I don't have any sounds for when I actually win something.
It's an honor.
Is that me? Oh my god. I got MVP. Oh my god, my social media is blowing up. Fuck you, TikTok. Oh my god. That was cute. That was. Nope. Oh. Oh my god. Oh, somebody else is over here. No. Oh my god.
Emotional damage.
Or fix the color.
Oh yeah.
What? Oh my god. Thank you, Chew Pure Scion. That scared the shit out of me. You are my first follower while I'm on stream. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I literally don't even know what to say right now because I was not expecting that. Thank you.
Yes!
Hello. Oh my god. Can you hear me now, Michael? My god. Dude, the way I have been chatting for 30 minutes and didn't realize that. Wow. That's insane. Oh my god, I am so frustrated now. I was literally just explaining, literally been chatting for 30 minutes about work and the technical difficulty that I had right before this stream because for some reason my computer just shut down in the middle of the day when I was doing something. And then I turned it back on and the monitors weren't going on. I'm like, what's happening? I'm unplugging things, plugging them back in, plugging them into different ports. Nothing is working, right? And like I was getting really stressed out. So then I'm like looking around my computer. I see a weird LED light and I'm like, why is this light on my motherboard? I'm like, why is this light on? So I researched it a little bit. And I take out the panel of my computer and I decide to just unplug the plug that was directly next to that light, and then I plugged it back in, turned the computer back on, and the light went away and my monitor went on. And I'm like, thank God, because I've been stressed out because I've literally had it in the back of my mind for a week that that I don't have a backup for this computer. I don't have any extra hard drive. Like, I need to figure out a backup system for this computer because all of my elements are on here. And that's what I've been talking about, that and my crazy day at work for the last 30 minutes, but I've been doing it on mute like it was a mime, so all you're seeing is this. So I love that for me. I don't know why just all of a sudden there was no mic selected in my OBS. You know, now I'm just gonna have to check everything because this light does not mean that it's on. Oh my god. And after all of that, after I said I was filling in for copy oddly, oh my god, embarrassed. Maybe it's for the best, that way you can't incriminate yourself. Exactly, because I was talking about work, but I was doing it in a very vague way. So usually I don't like to talk about work on here, but today was such an insane day that I was just like, I just need to get it out so I don't rage quit. But anyway, I hope you're doing well. How was your Thursday? What are you up to? Oh, there's about to be an ad break. We're gonna chit chat for 3 minutes and then we're gonna be playing Final Fantasy 14. People have been so rude and inconsiderate lately, so I relate. Well, today was just like, first, like, we had a tech meeting and I was just like, I don't know what you're trying to explain to me, but it doesn't matter because I just want to know if I'm getting a raise. And then the other thing I had was like this like meet the departments meeting, so I had to like be the representative for my department. And I'm just like, who am I introducing myself to? Because it was like new hires. When I first joined the meeting, it was 29 people, and then they were like, oh, does anybody have any extra questions? There was only 12 people. So I'm like, who was I actually introducing myself to? Because I already know everybody that's on this call already. So yeah, fun times. Oh my god. I'm just gonna let it slide off like water on a duck's back that my mic was off for 30 minutes again. I literally have that fear every time because when I first started streaming, there was a time when I was streaming the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I did a just chatting and I was feeling really good about it, just like I was now, and my mic was off the whole time. So, you know, full circle. It happens, things happen, you know, and when there's nobody in the chat, there's not really anybody to tell you that. And I'm trying not to like start every one of my streams by listening to myself on the stream to hear how the sound is. Also, let me know if this music is too loud for the game. Yeah, so it happens, you know. I'm still a baby streamer. I still feel like I definitely have a lot of opportunity for my stream start like checklist, because like right now it's just like open all these apps, make sure they're connected, but I didn't even think to check the mic, because why all of a sudden my mic was not selected is beyond me, especially since I streamed yesterday. So I can't stand a work culture. I have a small team on site, but we are a big organization. I much prefer smaller teams that can work in big office and many departments. But we in a weird space society-wise at the moment. Yes, yeah, I'm in a small group as well. I'm gonna be right back so that you don't miss anything, and then I'll explain that, and then we're gonna start the game. I will be right back. Be doing that much damage. Oh, did I just die? I guess I can't walk across that beam.
Emotional.
Where was that hole again? If you bend over, I will show you where that hole is. Oh, here we go. Did a titty fall out today on stream? No? I need to know. I need to know how it was. What the fuck? That's what I get for trying to go around. Give me my damn ability already, son. Dude, and this dude over here fucking duck walking. Ooh. Oh. Oh. Why am I walking so slow? Oh my god, am I gonna hit him with a fucking pan? Oh shit. Run.
The enemy is full.
No. Oh. How did we even win? The people outside must have won for us because I was fighting for my life. Okay, and we're back. Yes, I also... Okay, can we get to the game? I'm in like a startup. It's like maybe 700, probably more, between like 700 and 1,000 people. My team, like my direct team, literally for the past month has only had 3 people. So it's been intense. World Marble. Okay, so we're playing Final Fantasy 14. This is the beginning of Heavensward. We just had a major betrayal at the end of A Realm Reborn, and we are literally like scraps right now. We have been decimated. So we're gonna see what happens. But yeah, work. I feel like right now work is a double-edged sword because I'm very fortunate, obviously, to have a job. Ooh, except Returner's Bounty. Much and more has happened in Eorzea while you are away to help those such as yourself reacclimate to the ever-changing realm. The 12 have prepared a most generous boon, the Returner's Bounty. Accepting this divine aid will provide you with the tools required to make that quick return to form, including experience bonuses for partying with mentors as well as full access to the novice network, a chat channel dedicated to lending a helping hand. Okay, I guess we can accept that. The returner status is applied to players who have at least one class at least 50 or above. Thankfully, I had that. If you don't mind me asking, what field are you in? I work with formerly homeless as a case manager to help them keep housing. Oof, that is rough. That sounds extremely rough. I do IT for a telehealth company. The telehealth is where a psychiatrist. So that's also intense, but not as intense as that. The return of bounty consists of the following: novice network access, XP bonus. Okay, I guess we can join. That's fine. I don't know what's gonna happen right now. Let's close that. Let's turn this off. Okay, if you haven't played this before, yeah, I used to work at Apple. And I just felt like I wanted to do IT in a space or technology in a space that I feel is more helpful than selling a $1,000 phone to somebody. So yeah, it's a calling. I get to get away, but I got pulled back, but I found a really good boss and coworkers, so I'm blessed. See, like, I like most of my coworkers. I like my manager. It's just like a double-edged sword. Like, you're just, for me, like, I have a job, but I'm doing so much work that, here we go, let's map this. He's in the building behind me, so we're gonna go talk to Hart Shafent. That, I don't know. Oh, did I just take damage? I don't remember. I think he's in here. And I just literally, let's do this. There we go. I'm not used to I've been in the shop for almost 3 years. I have not gotten a promotion or a raise. So that is concerning to me. Yeah. I meant to say it's a calling. I tried to get away, but I got pulled back. Well, what else would you do if you weren't doing that? That sounds so intense. That's like, I feel like people that, I guess work for the government to help people with like, food stamps and stuff. Like, it has to be hard. Yes, and I agree. I hope things will improve. Yeah, I'm not used to it. Like, all my other jobs, I've always kind of gotten promoted within like 6 months to a year. So having no promotion is intense. And so I say no promotion because my title recently changed, but there was no raise with it. So it doesn't really feel like a promotion. I'm Hushafant. I must go on ahead and speak with the Count. Fear not, however, for everything has been arranged. The sentries at the gate of judgment have been informed of our decisions. You need but state your names and they will allow you to pass. My manservant shall be waiting for you at the city gates, ready to escort you to our manor, where we shall meet again. Until then. Okay. So this, just everybody's aware. I'm only doing the story part. I don't care about the other little side missions. I'm not looking to just get 200 XP for something. But this symbol with the exclamation with the like fire around it, those are your main story quests, and so that's what we're focusing on. So where is this? Let's close that for a second. And where am I? Damn, I haven't played this in so long, I don't even know where I am right now. Am I already here? Hold on. Let's get out of here because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. Also, this little chat in the bottom of the screen, I have no idea what it is. So because I haven't played this in so long, I lost the house that I was a part of. This is where I am. I could have sworn. Okay, this is where I need to go. So we can exit this way. Let's use our mounts and get out of here fast. Ever since I got this thing, it's like the best thing ever. So I can fly up and I can just fly over the whole damn map and get to where I need to go to faster. Oops. Gates of Judgments. So I'm right now playing as a red mage. I think I also have a Thermitage. I have a black mage. I don't really understand how they work. Don't ask. I don't get the meta. Words of house for temps. Ah, yes, you may pass. Proceed to Ishgard. Yes. So what were you trying to do if you hadn't gotten pulled back in? Ooh, cutscene. Oh, winter has come.
And so they came, at a friend's behest.
I forgot everybody's names.
Heroes once celebrated as saviors of Eorzea, brought low through treachery, their names blackened with royal blood.
Exactly.
With memories of the lost and dreams of redemption, with hope yet in their hearts, they came.
I used to work in HIV, STD, sexual health, but the climate changed and I felt it was time to move on. I get that. That sounds like it'd be an intense thing after
shining city on
the pandemic.
Mount, overlooking the dominion of Kurthus. A great and proud nation, devoted to Helone, the Fury, ruled by Thordan VII, Archbishop of the Ishgardian Orthodox Church. The last bastion of the faith, her walls ever bristling with the sworn swords and spears of her 4 high houses. A land that after 1,000 years of war had forgotten what it was to be at peace. Through gates long closed, the warrior of light and his companions passed, entering at last a city whose history was written in blood. In the midst of the Dragon Song War they came, 3 weary travelers whose arrival would set in motion great change. Though none knew then how great.
Memoirs of Count Edamat. I was expecting that to be... Oh, that is... There we go. That was kind of crazy. And then I was working for an adult porn company as a customer service manager. But that also was a world that I think officially closed that part of. Wow, you have some interesting jobs. I used to work at a Spanish clothing company. Then I went to Sephora. Then I went to Apple. Greetings, Master Avenger. I forgot that that was my name. On behalf of House 4 Temps, I bid you welcome to Ishgard. My lord humbly requests your presence at his residence in the Pillars. If you all would come with me. Where am I going? Oh, well, first let's get this aetheryte. All my work had a connection with sexy, the business held a pleasure. That sounds very cool. But I like to help people despite hating people. Exactly. I don't mind. I like helping people, but sometimes, you know, like at my last job and at this job, I feel like I like go above and beyond and it doesn't get recognized. And then other people who are also doing the same seem to get recognized more. So then it's just like very frustrating to me. And I don't want to like, I'm not doing it for the recognition, but it's also nice to have the validation every now and then. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Where am I going? What is happening right now? Let's... Here we go. So we need to go this way. That was weird that the map didn't update. Okay, so this is a whole new place. Yeah, it's hard to not let it dampen your spirit, but it's also good to have it recognized, especially if others are and are getting it. Exactly. Wait, am I going the right way? I think so. Yes, we need to go to the pillars. Yeah, sometimes a little validation goes a long way. Wait, didn't I just come from here? No? Okay. Wait, where am I going to? Am I going back the same way? God, wait, first... There was an aether right over here, so let's go to this. So all of these little blue things, you want to touch them, you want to attune to them, because then you can fast travel to them later, which is really helpful because you can see how slow I am. Right, this is going to be one of those annoying things where the map does not do a good job of telling me where I need to go. I'm very social, but I can't understand the current world. I don't feel I'm getting left behind because I don't want any part of it anymore. I hope that makes sense. Kind of makes sense. I feel like you're just saying that, like, if you like being around people and you like talking to people, but you're not necessarily going to go out of your way to like fit in and be a part of something if it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, then you're not going to do it, but you can still be social when you need to. I don't know if that makes sense. Oh no, I don't know where I'm going. Oh, here's another ether right. Yes. See, I feel like a little bit the same way. Like, I used to be like really into Facebook. I don't even use that anymore at this point. It's just a like a photo holder. I do feel like right now I'm trying to have a bigger presence on TikTok, and so I have like 2 accounts. So my personal account like does okay, but I don't I rarely get followers from it. Where am I going? Oh my god. It's gonna be one of those things where I spend an hour trying to figure out how to even get to it. Okay, so I'm looking directly at where I need to go. How do I get there? Maybe I need to go higher and then go across. Maybe where I'm at, but it's all superficial. It's me and you, be you, but what you think, but not what you think you have to be. Exactly. I think that's something that oh, maybe this is the right way. Like I'm dealing with now. Like I get so much anxiety from coming onto stream because I feel like I have to be this like super perfect streamer. And we can tell that I'm not because I was just talking to myself for 30 minutes. And I just like, and I feel like I have to do like certain things as a streamer, and I think I'm like getting to the point where I'm just like, I'm just gonna just do whatever the hell I want. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like, I'm gonna enjoy myself. The warrior of light and his brave companions walking the streets of Ishgard at last. What a glorious sight. I cannot tell you how long I have waited for this day. Allow me to present to you my family home for Thames Manor. I shall like nothing more than to show you around, but everyone is gathered to receive you. Come, my friends, introductions must be made. It's all good. You learn and adapt and figure out what works for you, but it's fun. Exactly. Yeah, I think like as I move on and get more comfortable, like there'll be more things that I do. Is this gonna have voice acting?
My lord.
Yes.
I have returned with the scions.
Oh, be nice if I clicked.
I hope your journey was not too taxing.
This dude's boots in the white are crazy.
I, Count Edmond de Fortomp, do bid you welcome. As wards of House Fortomp, you shall be afforded every courtesy. My home is your home.
My companions and I are deeply honored, Count Fortomp.
The honor is mine, Master Alphino. Consider it an expression of our gratitude for your service to Ishgard.
Forgive me, my lord, but are you not concerned? To accept foreign guests at such a juncture, especially ones with our reputation.
Do not worry yourself on my account. 'Tis true that Ishgard's first thought has ever been the war effort, hence the closing of our borders. Yet it is in troubled times most of all that men should seek allies, don't you think? Granted, my decision will have raised eyebrows in the vault and in the halls of the other high houses. But so long as you continue with your altruistic endeavors, I doubt my honored peers will feel moved to voice their concerns.
Then there is naught to fear. Though our numbers are much reduced, we are no less determined to carry on our work.
Full glad am I to hear it. But before you return to your labors, why not take a tour of the city? You would do well, I think, to acquaint yourselves with your new surroundings. After all, you may be here for some time.
Okay, quest complete. First quest. Alfinote has a mind to learn more about Ishgard. Look at all that XP I'm about to get. Though our friends in House Four Thames have been generous enough to extend us their protection, we must take care not to impose too much on their hospitality. It is only proper that we learn about our new home so that we might become more self-sufficient. It'll take a while to learn the lay of the land, but learn it we must. Then there's the markets and taverns. We'll need to know where to shop and where to hear small talk. 'Twould seem a tour of the city is indeed in order. I thank you for your counsel, my lord. My companions and I shall of course do as you suggest. Very good. Then my manservant shall accompany you. Okay, manservant. He will be able to answer any questions you might have. Ah, but I grow forgetful in my dotage. There is something I must give you ere we part. Their documentation is in order, I trust? Yes, my lord. Okay, manservant. Exactly, I want a manservant. Well, I also want what the manservant is wearing. I would wear that. Besides what I already have on my character. Oh, we just got some passports, IDs. These documents identify you as wards of House Four Temps. Given that our borders have remained closed for decades, many of my countrymen are unaccustomed to treating with foreigners. That's weird wording. Should anyone happen to question your presence here, it may prove necessary to remind them that you remain under the protection of House Four Temps. But let us hope it shall not come to that. Rest assured that we will do our utmost to avoid any situation which might compel us to invoke your name. I just almost bent my lip. Inked Tataru, the city awaits. Tataru is the little person. There we go. Let's go. They're our little apprentice slash secretary. When we had a bigger group of people doing all the good deeds. Exactly, remember them. As this is your first time in our fair city, pray permit me to show you to the Hopland, from whence we may gaze upon the splendor of the Holy Vault. Though all other sights pale in comparison, 'tis only meet that you see it first. I shall then show you around the jeweled crozier, where you may purchase all manners of goods and services before descending to Foundation's Aetherite Plaza. If there are no questions... Wait, did I get to this Aetherite? Did I attune to you? I did. Okay. Let's go up the stairs. Okay, so this is a brand new place. We have not been here before. As it's mentioned, the borders were closed up this whole time while we were dealing with the soap opera in a whole nother area. Okay, bye, whoever you are, little person. The Hopland, so named for the bronze great shield borne by our nation's patron deity, is the largest plaza in Ishgard. Okay, statues. The magnificent cathedral to the north is, of course, the Holy Vaults. Okay, architecture. The vault is both Ishgard's seat of government and the residence of the Archbishop of the Ishgardian Orthodox Church. Okay. Please don't be a religious thing. I can't deal with that. Begging your pardon, the statue to the south, are they perchance Thornton's famed Knights 12? Very good, Master Alfinod. They are the fathers of Ishgard, the brave knights who joined with King Thordan the First to put down Nidhogg and found this great nation. Why does that sound familiar? Nidhogg sounds like a famous person in Norse mythology. Ours is a city rich in history and tradition, and there is much you can learn by exploring the pillars, time permitting, of course. Now then, if you would follow me to the jeweled crozier, I shall introduce you to Mistress Elise, our master of the markets. Okay. Okay, so all of these are little side quests that is not happening. Did I attune to this? No. Oh wait, I need to go to an actual thing to... Okay, so we're gonna go this way. I'm gonna keep going down. This map sometimes is hard to tell the levels. Okay, I'll leave. Wait, I think I need to go down even more. Here we go. Oh, this is a big map. Okay, this is a market board, which I've never used either, to get like retainers and stuff. I've not done that. Well, you're clearly not locals or traveling peddlers, which makes you all wards of House Fort Thames. How very interesting. Count Edmont has granted us leave to remain in Ishgard for as long as we wish, which may be some time. Accordingly, we will have need of sundry goods, hence our desire to make your acquaintance. That is, of course, assuming you are content to accept the custom of foreigners. Should you be uncomfortable... Young sir, we do not discriminate in matters of money. If you have coin to spend, who are we to refuse it? Exactly. Weapons, armor, accoutrements, medicine, materials, whatever you desire, it can be found in a crozier. Our merchants will be more than happy to accommodate you as well, as you shall soon see. Oh, let's go shopping. Our next destination is the Aetheroid Plaza and Foundation. If everyone is ready. I think there's an Aetheroid over here too that I need to look into. Nope, this way. Let's attune to this first before we go on. Okay, maybe I need to take out that Frosty Tools question. It's just like so random in the middle of the chat. Wait. Oh, I need to go back up. Wrong way. Look at this place. Don't you think who actually built this? How did they even have the tools to build something like that? Am I going in here? No. I think I need to go back up. Wait, where am I going, honey boo boo? Yes, I need to go this way. I guess to the foundation. Okay, that was... Where am I? Where am I? Okay. Oh my god, I never know where I'm going. How is Prince? He's okay right now. Where is he? He's knocked out on the floor over there behind me. He's okay. I have to actually go talk to like a specialty surgeon because he needs to get a surgery, which I'm not looking forward to. I wish I had known about it sooner because then I would have done it sooner. But he needs to get a surgery. Nothing too crazy, but it's just more, it's like a quality of life thing. So I need to see if where is this place? Where am I going? Yeah, he basically, I did not know this, but like his breed has this condition that they can get because of their breed, which is, this is gonna be TMI, so anyway. Basically when he poops, you know, when the dog poops, they have a tube, you know, that the poop comes out. And so like right at the end of this tube, one of the muscles there has like, I don't know, it's gone away, it's loose, it's soft, it's not strong enough. So basically there's a hole. And so like poop goes in there and can get stuck in there, and then it can make it hard for him to poop. And he's never had the issue until like very recently, where like I had to take him to the doctor because he was like panting and stuff, and he was backed up so much, and I felt so bad they had to keep him overnight. I was crying in there because I was crying because first off, there was a family there that was putting down a dog. So that was stressing me out because the two little girls were crying like crazy. And then they had mentioned doing that to him, and I was just like, then I just like went into like full freak out mode. So yeah, I hated them keeping him overnight. Luckily, the place is like 2 blocks from my job, so I was like able to go and like visit him in between, like when I left work, before I got to work, during my lunch break and stuff like that. But yeah. Yeah, I think like once, like I've had to change his whole diet since I've brought him, and I probably should have gotten to the specialty place sooner. But I've had to change his whole diet, so like now I like wet all of his dry food. I feed him vegetables. I've changed the time that I've like feed him. So it's been a lot. What is going on? I don't know where I'm supposed to be going. How do I get to this place? Let's go this way. I don't think I went to this aether either. I'm also stressed like how it's gonna be afterwards, because I mean obviously he has to poop. My dog loves lettuce, it's fiber and a good crunch. Yeah, I need to, I don't know, because I don't eat lettuce. Well, not that I don't eat lettuce, but I'm not the best at eating healthy. But lately I've been buying cans of like peas and carrots, and so I cook that and I put it with his food, and he likes that, which is great. And I've been putting some like fiber in his like regular dry food. I have no idea where I'm supposed to be going right now. I mean, he would probably like it, because my dog is just like, he kind of eats anything. And at the same time, he can be like really picky. I'm surprised what is going on right now? Why can't I figure out where I need to go? Hold on. Okay, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna turn. Like, is foundation just the big? What is in here? Oh, maybe I needed to go down this way. Okay, there we go. I'm like, what is happening? Yeah, I mean, he pretty much just eats everything. I'm surprised he eats the vegetables, because that's usually not a thing I feel like he would do. Who is that? Hi, Numi. Oh, I don't know her. Have we met before? I don't know. Have we? How are we doing today? How is stream? Where am I going? What am I doing? That's literally gonna be like the running joke for the rest of time now. On your way to bed? Very nice. Oh my god, I need to be on my way to bed soon, because it's late and I'm either gonna be so tired and fall right asleep, or I'm gonna be wired and then I'm gonna be up. Either way, I'm not gonna get enough sleep. Don't worry, I literally realized it at some point while we were talking. I was like, he still doesn't know who I am, and I was like, how should I approach this? And then I didn't say anything, and then I don't know what happened. We were all talking, and then at some point it just came up. So I haven't played this in a really, really long time. This is the only reason I'm playing this is because we're just at the beginning of Heavensward, and so I feel like it's a good place where I can have people come in and not be like, what the hell is going on? But I haven't played it in months, and I've been paying for the subscription, and I'm like, I need to play it because I can't. I know, I don't know why I didn't say that. I think I was just like thinking so hard at the moment, or somebody distracted me with something that they said. But yeah, it's listen, it's a great story, and that's all that matters now. Not paying without playing. Exactly, $16 a month. And I was my goal. So first off, I've been paying for this the whole time, but also my friends were like, "Oh yeah, let's all play. We're gonna all play together," and then they all just dropped it, and now they all play Fortnite and Overwatch, and I'm just like, this is like the third time that they have done this to me, where they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do this." Like, I haven't played in so long that we got kicked out of the house that I was in. I just got some sort of novice bounty for people that haven't played so long to try to catch them up. So yeah, I was like, I was complaining the whole time I was playing it, because when it first started I was like, this is taking so long, this is like crazy. But the end of A Realm Reborn really makes up for all the work that you had to do, and that like 3 years it takes to beat that part of the game. Because this whole game is like what's it called? It's like a second job. There's so much to do. It's insane. Oops. What do I want to take? I can't take any of this stuff. Okay. Quest complete. Yeah, so I'm gonna use stream as a way to get back into the game. Have another story game that we like feel like we're moving along and we're like completing things. I want to get back into 14 when I have people to play with. Exactly. See, I'm like, my friends, they were all into it. Like, they sent me guides and all this stuff, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I still don't know what they're talking about. I literally just mostly focus on the MSQs, like the whole like meta of it, like doing all the golden saucer stuff and replaying dungeons. I'm just like, I want to get through the story, because that's what looks the most interesting to me. If I have to do other stuff while I go through the story, or to level up to get past parts of the story, then I will do that. But I'm not going to go out of my way to be doing a fit track over at the golden saucer, okay? Your guide is eager to continue your tour of Ishgard. Yeah, because this game is a lot. I was trying to get through as much of this as possible before Dawn Trail, but that is obviously been a failure. As for our next destination, are you going to be getting Dawn Trail? Maybe we should decide together what else can be found nearby. The Sky Steel manufactory stands to the west. There are our engineers conceive and manufacture weapons for use against the dragons. The holy stables, where chocobos are trained for war, also lie in that direction. You would have to know like this for that. Exactly. Like, this game is so intense. I don't know how people do it. I just saw on TikToks that there was this whole thing about people being at level 850 in Fortnite, and I'm like, how is that even possible? Like, go touch grass. Yeah, I don't even know if it was real or if they were joking, but these people were literally at like level 850. I didn't even know that was a thing. To the north and east can be found the congregation of our knights, most heavenly, while to the south and east, well, 'twould be west if you would avoid that area. Yeah. It's really, I don't know, it's crazy. And why is that? I fear our knights may not be able to ensure your safety in the lowest levels, Master Alfinod. Hold your nose when you pass the broom, little lord. A delicate flower like you is like to wilt in our fumes. Oh, who is this? You misjudge me, sir, for I am no lord but a humble traveler. Dude, didn't you already get your face cut up? Oh, come to see the sights, have ye? Take a turn down Hopland and go up at the statues. I know a little about Fortnite. I didn't know there were levels. Well, there's like levels you can get as you like increase in the battle pass. I thought it ended at like, I guess level 100, but level 850 is crazy. And I feel like that the TikTok was from this season, or maybe the last season, which I don't even know how long those seasons last, but literally that's still too much. That's like, you're literally you're barely even going to the bathroom at that point. Well, if you've a mind to learn how the better half live, come and have a drink at the Forgotten Night if your nursemaid'll let ya. My humblest apologies, Master Alphinaud. Pray pay that drunken lout no mind. Not wearing a diaper? Exactly. It's insane. Because, I mean, the matches last long. And at some point you do so many quests that, like, the quests are what gives you the most XP. But at a certain point you're not getting all that XP because you're not doing completing the quest. Why is this showing? Oops. Okay, my stream has been acting crazy all day. Oh, but I would not do to refuse such a heartfelt invitation. Yes, I simply must see this Forgotten Night for myself. I trust you see the wisdom in this ink. There are a few sources of information more abundant than a bustling local hostelry. Hostelry, I guess. Yeah, that's weird. Not that I expect to hear any news of our missing comrade just yet. Nevertheless, who can say what we might learn of recent events? Oh, then I'm coming too. Look at those boots. Oh, new quest. Where am I going? Okay. I'm gonna go this way. Where am I going? I think I need to go down that bridge. I mean, down those stairs. Oh, I need to go up this ramp actually. I wish this game had more voice acting. Must say this is rather unusual, not just one, but a whole party of fresh new faces in my tavern. We but recently arrived in Ishgard and are eager to acquaint ourselves with her more notable establishment's master. Gibberlance, Gibberlance will do, and I'm flattered you think so highly of my establishment. Can't promise it'll live up to your expectations, but if it's decent food and drink you're after, you could do much worse. Speaking of food, I really want Five Guys and a cheeseburger right now. Judging by the numbers of customers I see, I suspect your fare is rather more than decent. Speaking of your clientele, I cannot help but note a difference between those who frequent the upper and lower floors. Spotted that, did you? I up here you'll find peddlers, porters, off-duty knights, and so forth, dropping in on their way to or from somewhere else. Regulars, maybe, but not locals. Folks from the Broom, they tend to congregate downstairs, where we offer a menu more suited to their taste. Cheaper meals, stronger spirits, all quality, mind, but not the sort of stuff I'd recommend to yourselves, sorry. You speak of the lowest levels, yes? Why do they call them the Broom, if I may ask? 'Cause when the weather's foul and the broom rolls in thick, it's the poor sods living at the bottom who have to deal with it. I see. And it's not just the weather. When the wyverns broke through the wards and started tearing up the city, it was the broom that got the worst of it, while the pillars enjoyed the protection of the high houses and the temple knights. More than a few people are still sore about that mind, which is why, considering your present company, I'd recommend you keep your wits about you, if you mean to go below, and something sharp in your boot just to be sure. I shall take your words to heart, sir. Master Alfinod, I think it would be best if we return to Fort Temps Manor. Tataru, you go on ahead without me. I'm staying for a drink or two. Okay, honey. Miss Tataru, I'm afraid that is out of the question. My lord the Count would never forgive me if I abandoned one of his charges in such a place, least of all a maiden. What are you up to, Tataru? Look around, Alfinod. This tavern is full of people whose business regularly takes them beyond the gates of judgment. With friends like that, I could practically live here and wait for the newest gossip to come to me. Indeed, but will you be safe here on your own? Show them your moves, girl. Oh please, do you know how often I looked after the waking sands and the rising stones by myself? If I had a gill for every unwelcome caller I've driven away, I'd be rich beyond my wildest dreams. I'll be fine. Not that I doubt the lady's knack for fending off unwanted advances, but I'll be damned if I'm going to let anyone lay an unwelcome hand on a patron in my establishment. That settles it then, Tataru. Night, Numi. Hope you have a great night's sleep. Thank you for stopping by, I appreciate it. And I hope you remember me the next time. That settles it then, Tataru inked, and I shall return to the manor for now. Contact me by link pearl if you require assistance. I will. We'll see. Bye, Tataru. What am I doing now? The better half speak with Edmond in Fort Temps Manor. Okay, let's sit the door out. Can I go out this way? No, it's just a fake door. Let me go to this door because I don't think I attuned to it. Why am I getting so itchy right now? Oh, actually I can use this to get somewhere, actually. Let's do that. No. I want to go here. There we go. Look at that. That's how you fast travel, honey boo boo. Welcome, Master Avenger. Shall I show you inside the manor? Yes. Come on, voice acting. Tell us then, Master Alfina, does Ishgard meet your expectations? That which I imagined pales in comparison to the reality. I felt the weight of 1,000 years of history with every step I took, and when those steps took me past the scars left by the wyverns in Foundation, I understood how easily that history could end in tragedy. Let me take a sip of water because I'm getting dry. The attack was devastating, the casualties unspeakable. The wyverns did not discriminate. Unarmed men, women, and even children were given no quarter. Sir Americ has ordered his knights to strengthen our defenses, and each house has been called upon to land what support it can. There is so much to be done, yet alas, able-bodied men and women are in short supply. Maybe we could be of assistance, my lord. After all you have done for us, we would welcome any opportunity to repay your kindness. That is a most generous offer, Master Alfinod. You are a guest in my home to whom I have extended my hospitality without obligation, let or lien. Nevertheless, Ishgard's need is great, and if you are willing to aid our cause, I cannot well refuse. Good. What would you ask of us? From what I have heard, you are an intelligent and persuasive young man. Such qualities may prove most useful to us in our efforts to secure provisions from foreign sources, identifying trustworthy suppliers, brokering contracts, and so on. As for you, Master Avenger, I could ask for no one better than a storied veteran such as yourself, a man with the capacity to act swiftly and decisively when needed, to aid Ortorel and Emmanuel in their duties. Oh, is that those two? Oh, do I have to keep saying their names? Oh my god, honey boo boo, I beg your pardon. I am more than capable of carrying out my duty by myself. I have no need of our honored guest assistance. So, disclaimer. When I first decided to do this, I said I was going to do voices, which I most likely am going to do, but I'm just so tired right now. But there will be some voice acting. Okay? Because I am a professional voice actor. Now, be reasonable, brother. What manner of fool would say no when a famous hero offered to do his work? Okay, earrings. Hold your tongues, by the Fury. The two of you will conduct yourselves with dignity befitting your station, and show Master Avenger the respect he deserves. This is the man who slew Gaius van Balzer and some half-dozen primals besides. He is not here to steal your glory or serve as your errand boy. If you can pardon them their impropriety, Master Avenger, I should be much obliged if you would lend my sons a helping hand. Oh, this is gonna get interesting, I can see. My thanks, Fury willing. They may even learn something from you. Twould seem we shall not want for employment over the coming days, though that was never in doubt. Our host's initial reluctance to accept our offer of aid was solely for appearance sake. In truth, he is glad of this opportunity for us to put us to work. By granting us patronage, House for Thames has taken a tremendous risk. Until we demonstrate our worth to Ishgard at large, the Count will face considerable opposition from his peers in matters great and small. And so he would have publicly served Ishgard while simultaneously keeping his sons in check. Okay, Frosty Tools, you are giving it right now. And so he would have us publicly serve Ishgard while simultaneously keeping his sons in check. 'Tis an arrangement we may benefit from in in unexpected ways. I can't even talk anymore. My own duties may feasibly bring me into contact with people who know something of our missing comrades. And as you go about helping our two lords with their various responsibilities, you will inevitably make new acquaintances in Ishgard, maybe even new allies. Yes, the more I think on it, the more confident I am that by furthering their goals, we shall further our own. So I can take this rainbow cap of healing. Yes, another quest complete. Oh, I can put my thing back in. My Final Fantasy sound now. Because I took it out because I was like, it makes no sense to play the Final Fantasy fanfare when I'm not playing a Final Fantasy game anymore. Oop. Okay, let's see what this is about. Emanuele. What a man, like Lord Emanuele. I'm gonna call him Emma. So I'm not gonna keep saying that name. Is in high spirits. You can be sure that trouble is in store. Shall we be off then, old boy? Ah, but where are my manners? Emma de Fortemps, second son of Count de Edmond de Fortemps, true-born, that is. Yes, yes, I know what you're thinking, and you are absolutely right. What ill fortune to be born second in a society where the eldest inherits all. Oh, my brother would never cut me off, 'tis true, but who could be satisfied subsisting on a meager allowance, forever overshadowed by his sibling? Not I, oh boy, not I. Which is why I need your... okay. Which is why I need your help to ensure that this business and the sea of clouds go swimmingly, so that the tales of my great deeds can win me a place in the people's hearts, or better yet, raise me higher in their estimations than Art. I'm just gonna call him Art. Ambitious, I grant you, but then I do have a legendary hero to do my bidding. They just said I'm not your errand boy, son. Oh, don't look at me that way. I jest. Yeah, you better be joking because I'm not working for you, bitch. Anyway, we are to aid the good men and women of House Helenart. Oh, these names are gonna kill me. They have ever been steadfast friends to our house, though they've fallen on hard times since the calamity, poor blighters. As for what precisely we will be doing, well, what fun would it be if I told you everything in advance? Just come along with me to the airship landing. We'll need to take that airship to Camp Cloudtop. A top. Okay, this music is intense. That's not what the quest music sounded like in A Realm Reborn. Okay, Arts. Lord Arts is less than eager to brief you on his mission. Let us begin anew, Master Avenger. I am Sir Art de Fortemps, eldest son of Count Edmond de Fortemps. You will forgive me my outburst. I hope I mean no disrespect. I merely consider myself equal to the duties entrusted to me, unlike some. Harshefant has spoken of you often. If you are even half the man he claims, I shall be glad to have you at my side. To the matter at hand, then, we will be assisting my esteemed compatriots of House Durandare and Desamail. You are aware of our friendly rivalry, I take it. I will suffice it to say the prospect of assisting said houses does not fill me with joy. However, it is the will of the Holy See that we set aside our differences at this crucial juncture. But we shall speak more of that anon. What is anon? They say that so much in this game. What the fuck does that mean? First we must need secure transport to Falcon's Nest. Let us make for the Chocobo stable in Foundation. Okay. Let's exit the manor, and then I think I'm gonna call it a night because, yeah. Okay, let me go to my just chatting scene because, yeah. Okay, let's go over here so that I don't hear the music. There we go. Actually, I guess you guys can hear the music. It's just like loud in my ear. So gonna have to make a decision about this game. I do still want to do it on stream. I don't think it's necessarily gonna be the story game that I think I want to do. There's like a lot more talking than I thought about. So definitely need to decide how I want to do this. I do want to still do it on stream. I think it's a good one for like when I do have more people in chat that I can stop and talk. Like today was a lot easier to talk and keep doing the game. But it's definitely a lot of chatting. And also to be doing it with the voices will be very interesting. Hopefully I can manage the voices. Yeah, so I think that maybe I need to decide what we're gonna do for the next stream. Because now that I'm like kind of like in the computer game realm, I kind of want to stay here for a little bit and not get sucked right back into doing PlayStation. So I'm either going to start another little indie game like Cocoon, start Hellblade, or I want to do it. I was gonna try to do it a little bit today, but I'm like extremely hesitant because I'm really bad with computer games because my fingers do not get the controls. Of doing. Yeah, see, why is. Oh, okay. That was weird. Hold on 1 second. Oh, tomorrow's gonna rain all day, everybody. It sucks. Oops. I feel like this game is a little loud, the music. No, actually, I think it's okay. Anyway. Or to do, so we're gonna continue this. Either I'm gonna start Cocoon, I'm gonna start Hellblade, or I'm gonna do the Hades 2 test. Because that looks really interesting. I'm definitely gonna have to go on and download this VOD and then delete it immediately because unfortunately my mic was off for the first 30 minutes of the stream. So I think I might be able to re-upload it, so I'm gonna check if I can do that. I definitely need to add a stretch and maybe some exercise. Channel redemptions. And yeah, actually, let's see something else really fast. Let's see my cool little Nintendo case. So I have a Nintendo case and I have my case for my breath mints is also a little Nintendo controller. I'm just that cool. Okay. Right. I just want to see. I do feel like I want to start incorporating. Oh, got a new Ice Spice song. Save me. I want to start doing some reactions. Mostly the music, because I have I have specific things I want to see when I see music. Oh, also, I cannot believe I have not talked about the whole Kendrick and Drake um, thing that's going on. I don't even want to say a battle because one person has been desecrated. They have been slaughtered. Okay. But I gotta figure out how to do the music thing because not every time. Also, oh my god. If you have not heard, if you've been living under a rock, the Chromatica Ball is coming to HBO Max. We have won. This is... oh my god. It is so exciting. It's weird and it's exciting. This album is fucking 4 years old at this point because it came out during the pandemic in 2020. And the fact that we are now getting this live concert is crazy. It looks like it was shot amazing. It looks really good. And I gotta get my body prepared because we're gonna learn the choreography and that's gonna be our exercise routine and we're gonna get back in shape. Okay? But I'm so excited about it. It looks so good. I'm kind of hoping that she like releases a live album with it, but you never know. Okay, so we got new songs from Megan Thee Stallion that I'm gonna listen to. Okay, Camila Cabello and Lil Nas X. Interesting. She's trying too hard, girl. Ice Spice, Post Malone. Oh, no, that's not what I want to do. Turn that off. Okay, Post Malone coming out with a song with Morgan Wallen. Fail. Absolute fail. I feel like that person's been so messy lately, and wasn't it the person that like I feel like that's the person that said the N-word and then they just like disappeared for a little bit and then he came back and like everybody just like fucking swept it under the rug. And I feel like this is why people just do whatever the fuck they want because there's literally no accountability. Like right now, you know, Drake is dropping some sneaker collab with Nike, okay? He is being alleged. So wait, let me take this back a second. First off, when this whole beef started, everybody's like, oh, like Kendrick won, right? And they're like, if they said Kendrick won, right? He alleged that he has a daughter that nobody knows about, and he's alleged that he has done things with minors, right? But everybody on the internet was like, oh, if he has a receipt that he has this surprise kid, it's over. And I'm like, why is it over if he has a surprise kid? Why is it not over if he has proof that he has done things with minors? It's fucking crazy. Like, why is it the kid versus the minors that is gonna be like what you feel like destroys Drake, right? But now he's dropping these sneakers. I think they're dropping tonight. I don't even know. I'm not a sneaker person. But the thing is, like, I'm really interested to see the sales of these sneakers because it's like you're buying sneakers of a person that has being alleged of doing things to minors. Like, what is your thinking behind that? Like, why do you think that's okay? And it's because people do things like this that celebrities, politicians, whoever, are never held accountable for the stupid things that they do. Like, it's absolutely insane. Like right now, there was so much talk about P. Diddy. Who's talking about him anymore? Like, what is happening? His house was raided. That was the last we heard. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, people are so crazy. Like, literally look at what happened with the Nicki Minaj, Megan Thee Stallion beef, right? First of all, Megan came out with that song, and then Nicki came out with that track, if you want to call it. That song was awful. It was an awful response, right? And then the whole last minute of that song, she's talking about, oh, like, you have 24 hours to respond to something, or I'm going to release receipts. She never did. She never had the receipts, right? But during that time, right, we found out what her husband has done, what her brother has done, and how she's kind of like surrounded herself with these people, right? Yet look at, if you watch TikTok, look at how many people are still going to that tour. Like, that is fucking insane. And this is why, like, nobody's held accountable for what they do. You know, it's just literally makes no sense. Yeah, I was not expecting to go on this rant at the end of my stream, but actually, I want to get off the music because it's driving me nuts right now. I feel like it's a little loud. Yeah, but it's crazy. What else was I gonna say? I think that for this game, we're just gonna do it slow in bits, like little short streams, just to get myself back acclimated. I'm gonna try to do as much as I can on stream and not off stream. Yeah, but thank you to Michael and Numi for stopping by and coming in. Sorry to anybody that came at the beginning of the stream and was watching me mime for 30 minutes because OBS decided to just not have my mic on, which is amazing. Or basically, it changed my mic to default, which was nothing. Why it decided to do that, I have no idea. But yeah, I don't know the next time I'm gonna stream. So I might have my niece and my nephew during the weekends, and so I usually don't stream. But I do need to try to stream when I'm here to see what that feels like at some point. So I might stream tomorrow night. Who knows? I might just need a break because tomorrow I'm literally gonna be the only person on my team working, kind of. So it's gonna be a day, and hopefully I don't rage at someone. So anyway, thank you to Numi and Michael for hopping in and chatting with me. I appreciate it. It's always nice to have somebody to chat with when you're a small streamer, because sometimes that doesn't always happen. Yeah. I might see you guys tomorrow for another PC game. Yeah, but I hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope you have a great Friday and a great start to your weekend tomorrow if I don't see you. And have a good night. Bye.